What's up, guys? Muller Reaver here with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and it finally happened, guys. As you can see above me, we finally got 2 Yumekos on the account, and we were able to build the Yumeko Infinity comp and hit the damage cap for the clan boss. So we're going to go through all the details of it. I'll show you the speed tune. We'll go through the builds of all the champs, and then we'll watch my best run to date. Which has a couple of interesting things within it, namely being when we hit the cap and the actual total damage that you can calculate once the run is finished. So let's go take a look at the speed tune first. Okay, so here's the speed tune we are going to use. Now, the tune currently behind me is the actual speed tune I use on the standard Infinity comp. So you can see we've got Hellborn Sprite in here. We've got Lanicus, Krisk, Brogni, and Corpulent. So this tune is actually slightly different than the standard one that's been around for a couple of years. This one is actually used a slightly faster Hellborn, actually quite a bit faster Hellborn Sprite, and a slower Lanicus. And what this tune actually does is allows us to delay Krisk's A3, you can see here, and it keeps us in tune. So delaying Krisk's A3 actually allows us to fill up his buff bar with continuous heals. That way, whenever we do his A3, he does not get the increased defense on himself, which will then allow him to remain as the stun target. So this is actually the speed tune I've been using for a while. This is the one that actually got me the 2 billion damage. Actually, I think from 1.6 and up, or 1.4 maybe. But this is the last one that we got the 1.2, or the 2.2 billion damage. Jeez, too many numbers. Now, the nice thing about this tune is the 2 champions we are replacing here is Hellborn and Lanicus. And we are replacing them both with Yumekos. So we can take this exact tune and just pop our Yumekos in here. So you can see we are still in sync. There is no change needed whatsoever on our speeds. And this also allows us, again, to delay Krisk's A3 in order to maintain that 2-1 ratio comp behind us. Now, what makes the Yumeko team work? If you're unfamiliar with the team, we'll go through a little bit of history first. So the Yumeko team has been terrorizing all sorts of content across the game. The Yumeko Infinity comp, or the Yumeko Clan Boss team, was first presented by a man named Galen. He is one of the world record chasers for a bunch of different areas. He's been the one terrorizing the game with the Yumeko comp. He's put up over 2.6 billion damage against Hard Hydra. He's got super fast dungeon times, all sorts of crazy stuff. So he first presented this idea to Victor Tez, who was actually the first one to build this a couple of months ago. Shortly after Galen brought it up, I actually had Educated Potato, a friend of mine, presented an idea to me as well. Neither of us, myself or Victor at the time, whenever it was presented to us, had Yumekos. So he got them first and was able to build it, and it is an incredible team. So now is our chance to do it. And what makes it work, so you can see in the speed tune, so both of the Yumekos are going side by side. So we've got Yumekos here and Yumekos here. It's the same thing across. It's obviously with the tune. While one Yumeko is taking a normal turn, the other Yumeko is resetting. And then the one that just took a normal turn now resets on the next turn, next time around, while the other one is taking one turn. So they are alternating that, take an off turn and a reset. And then the other one resets while taking an off turn. And they just go back and forth like that. And what that allows is you can actually see that both Brogni and Krisk are just constantly doing their A2s. So Brogni's A2 is the shield extender, and Krisk's A2 is the buff extender. So we now only need one buff extender champ within the comp because he is doing it every single turn he takes. And then Brogni is constantly extending everybody's shields. So the shields get massive, and Corpulent ends up hitting for 12, 13, maybe 14 million damage by the end of the run. But that's what makes this works so well is the fact that those W mechas can reset each other, and that they take one turn in between, so that they are both going at the same time in order to allow everybody else to do the same skill over and over and over again. So here we are back on the champs. Now, the builds for this team are a little different than the standard Infinity comp, or at least the strategy for the standard Infinity tune, because with the standard comp, essentially we're trying to balance defense levels so that we can kill champs off early in order to give Corpulent Cadaver the most time at the end of the run, in order to just hit constantly as he's swinging for 6-7 million at that point. With this, because Brogni is constantly doing his A2, the shields are so big it is impossible for us to kill anybody off. So we are building straight for damage on everybody's kit. We still want the double shield on Corpulent, but this also allows us to switch up his sets, which I'll show you here in a second. So first thing we're going to look at is our first Yumeko here. This is the slower of the two Yumekos, so this one's 251. This one is replacing Lanicus's slot. You can see she's crit capped with just as much damage build as we can get. She's in a shield set. This is what's going to provide the second shield for Corpulent. We've got her in Revenge Accessories just to try to get some extra damage out of her so that she can counterattack. As far as masteries go, the only thing we really care about is War Master. Again, just trying to get as much damage in as possible. She's just going to be doing her reset the majority of the time, so not really too worried about the rest of it. Second Yumeko, same thing. This time she is in a Guardian set. This is again to try to mitigate more damage from Corpulent. But she is also built for damage, so we've got crit capped. She's at 296 speed. Whatever damage we could get based off of that. We also got her in a couple of Revenge Accessories. You can see she's 2-star Awakened, so she is going to be bringing our Brimstone buff, or debuff. As far as masteries go, we are still using Bulwark, so this is Hellborn slot. Who would always have the Bulwark. It's extra mitigation, again, away from Corpulent Cadaver. And that's her main job. Next up, we will look at Corpulent Cadaver. So again, the change in the fact that our shields are going to be huge, so we can actually change his sets up without affecting too much. So with the Defiant set, now we have the 15% damage mitigation, where he was previously wearing a Stalwart set for 30%. So we're actually lowering the damage mitigation on himself, but we are adding a Retaliation set. So now we're giving that extra chance for him to counterattack every single time he gets attacked. Which, whenever he starts hitting for 12 million damage, you want those counterattacks. You can see we also have full Revenge Accessories still on him. Stats-wise, 205 speed. Because we're in Retaliation set, we're just stacking as much as much defense as we possibly can. His actual damage stats don't matter because the damage that he's going to do is based off of the size of the shield. It's a set number. So building him for damage doesn't change a whole lot. We got some crit rate on him, but you're going to see that he's not going to crit a lot just because it's the shield damage that we care about. The rest of it doesn't matter. On to Krisk. Krisk we put back in a Toxic set. This is just to add some more damage. We got him in a couple of Revenge pieces as well. He is at 285 speed, 5k defense, so he is much damage as we could build into that as well. 100% crit rate, 227 crit damage. Actually, I think I forgot masteries for Corpulent. He is down to War Master. Pretty standard from previous builds. For Krisk, we also went down to War Master again just to get some extra damage. Now the big build is, of course, Brogni. Brogni is +4, 6-star Awakened. He has Crushing Rend. So he is going to bring some damage. You can see we have re-geared him now out of reflex. He's now in double cruel with crit damage. And then just built for as much damage as I could stack on him. So 186 speed, 5.2k attack, 385 crit damage. We are going against Spirit, so he doesn't need full crit rate. Only 85% will do it. Since we are going against Spirit, I think I just said that. We've got enough accuracy to land his HP burns. Masteries, we are going down to Flawless Execution. Flawless Execution being the only one that actually affects the shield buff in itself. So the 30% of the damage that he does on his A2, that goes to the size of the shields. You can see Krisk has our 6-star cruelty. Corpulent still with the faultless defense for just that extra mitigation. So that's the champs. Now I have a recording of the highest run that I've done so far. So we'll take a look at that. I will start in the beginning to explain the start of it, and then I will get out of the way, and then pop back in towards the end of the video, or end of the run, to point out a couple of interesting things as we go along. Actually, I forgot about presets, so let's go over those real quick. So it is basically the same as the normal setup. So we are actually turning off Yumeko's A2. I'm pretty sure A1 hits a little harder. However, I don't think it really matters. Again, she's not going to be doing a whole lot of damage. Either way, if you don't turn the A2 off, she's going to A2 the whole time. If you do turn it off, she will A1 the whole time. Other than that, you want to prioritize the reset. Same thing with the other Yumeko. So they're both going to, on their first turn, do their resets, and then it eventually falls in line, where they do that every other that we were talking about. Brogni, he's just going to open up with his A3 and never use it again. Prioritize the A2, which is all he's going to do for the entire battle. Corpulent Cadaver, we're just turning everything else off except for his A1. Krisk, now for Krisk, so this team I actually now use as my everyday team. It's full auto, you don't have to worry about anything, you just hit go. Where the previous, with Lanicus, you have to worry about taking an extra turn and all that sort of fun stuff. So with him, he can actually change his presets. So if you're going full auto and allowing Krisk to put the increased defense on himself, you can just do the A3 first and then turn it off and never use it again, so he does the A2 the entire time. For the runs that we're going to do, I'm actually going to turn off the A3 entirely, because it's full auto up until we need to apply that A3. So we're going to delay the A3 3 turns, which is actually going to end up happening right before the stun. And when we do that, the buffs on one of the Yumeko is going to fall off shortly after that. So you'll see that we then pause it again in order to reapply the shields with Brogni's A3. So 2 little manual steps that we're going to do. That'll be right after this, right before and after the stun hit, which you'll see in the video. But other than that, if you want it full auto, just open with the A3. If you want to do the manual step to keep Krisk as the stun target, then just turn it off and just hop in whenever that part goes. So now let's take a look at the run. All right, so here we are at the start of the run. I'm going to go ahead and let it go. Again, this is a recording, so we're just going to talk through it a little bit. You can see that just hovering over auto right now, where it's full auto up until right before the stun target again. Where we're going to end up doing Krisk's A3. So as we go, everybody's just piling the buffs on. You can see Krisk is going to continue to just ooze A2. So right now we have 8 buffs on him. Once he does it one more time, he will have the full 10, which is right here. And so now on his next turn, we can pause it, which is coming up right here, and apply his A3. Then we can go again, and you'll see now as one of the Yumekos go, her buffs fall off right there. And then we just reapply the shield and block debuffs again with Brogni, and we're full auto again. And now we're just going to keep running through. It's going to fall in sync here within the next turn or two, and then it's full speed ahead from there. So I'm going to get out of the way. We'll speed up the run so we don't have to sit here for 45 minutes. And then again, I'll pop back in whenever we're closer to the end to point out a couple of interesting things. So enjoy the run, guys. I'll be back. Okay, so we can pause it right there. Now, as you can see, we are now at 2,147,483,647 damage. That is the damage cap. The reason why it's capped, or why we call it the damage cap, is because that counter, that damage calculating field, that total damage and then the yellow number, that number is coded as an integer data type, which has a maximum value of 2,147,483,647. So that number is going to stay there because it physically cannot go any higher. That is what we are referring to as the damage cap, and that is what the final score is going to be reflected on the total screen, or the the end screen for the run. Now, interestingly enough, is the damage calculation of the individual champions is not capped. So they're going to continue to accumulate damage as we go. And so you can actually add up their scores at the end for an unofficial record. One other thing you're going to want to look at is you can see we did that and at turn 1371, which means we still have another 129 turns to go before the 1500 turn limit to continue to rack up more points. Also, fun note, you can see Corpulent Cadaver there hit for 12.4 million, which is still going to get higher. So let's watch the end of the run and we'll pop back in. So there we go. We have hit the damage cap. 2,147,000,000.48. Again, it is because that damage counter cannot physically go higher than that. You can see we've got Krisk here at 46 million. Corpulent, so here you go. With that, the fact that the individual champions are not capped by that integer data type. We've got Corpulent Cadaver doing 382 million damage all on his own. So he by himself did more than the number above him. We've got Brogni there doing 90 million. And then both the Yumekos at just over 20 million apiece. So now if we actually take a calculator and add these numbers up, so we've got 46, 161, 978 plus 23829850888 plus 90,599,27 plus 22,002,497 and 24,519 and 93, and we get a combined total of actual damage 2,566,000,000 damage. Not too shabby, I would say. I don't know how much more we can get than that. 3 billion, 5 billion. Those are some of the fun numbers that people who have already seen this have been throwing at me. But we'll keep pushing it, see if we can't get it higher. But I think that is pretty darn good. So let me know what you guys think. Anybody else building this? I know there's a couple of people that are also running this. There's another guy that's getting close to the damage cap as well. So let me know what you guys think. Leave me some comments down below. Hit that like and subscribe, all that sort of fun stuff. And we will catch you guys in the next one. Later.